Hey everybody, David and David here from Payette.com and Upphone.com, and in this video we're going to explain why Dish Mobile will fail. If you've missed this story, T-Mobile and Sprint are pretty close to completing their merger, which would make Dish the fourth major wireless carrier in the country, and we just don't see how it's going to work out.
And we're not alone in this. Recently, a group of economists, some from NYU, Georgetown, the University of Utah, and Northeastern University got together and they wrote a paper about why this is going to fail. So really what it comes down to is that they're trying to justify this merger based on the fact that it's going to increase competition and be good for consumers, when in fact, it's obviously not.
Right.
So there are a number of problems with this. Dish Mobile doesn't exist, first off. So we're kind of creating this merger, and then we're saying that it's going to work based on an idea. And this idea is that Dish Mobile is going to build out a competitor, a nationwide competitor to Sprint, the new T-Mobile, they're calling it, AT&T and Verizon, within the next 7 years.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, they say that they're going to be able to do this with a $10 billion investment.
Which is not going to be enough.
And if they fail, which Dish has done in the past with other promises that they've made that have been similar, they have to pay a fine of $2.2 billion in 2023. The target that they're supposed to reach is 70% of American citizens. Not 70% of America, but 70% of the population. So if they reach 50% by 2023, they have to pay $580-something million, which is tax deductible to them. And then they have 2 more years to finish building out this network. But people think that it's highly unlikely that Dish will ever build out the network because compared to the spectrum that Dish has, so the way this works is that wireless carriers bid on certain spectrums, like 800 megahertz is Dish's spectrum. T-Mobile commercials, they're talking about 600 megahertz. So Dish owns this spectrum, and in 7 years, and less than that, that spectrum is worth way more than $2.2 billion.
Right.
Amazon, Google, somebody's going to come in and just buy them out.
Yep.
And then take over. So the whole thing is based on a bunch of promises and a bunch of hope. And I guess we could talk a little bit more about specifically what the plans are.
Well, we also, something to keep in mind is that T-Mobile can start capping Dish Mobile after 3 years. So.
Right. They can impose these data caps. The fundamental flaw with this thing, another one, is that T-Mobile is supposed to support Dish Mobile for the next 7 years. But Dish Mobile is their primary competitor. It doesn't make sense that T-Mobile is incentivized. So the DOJ comes in and they invent all these rules for T-Mobile that they have to follow.
Right. Well, they have one person who's going to oversee those rules and make sure T-Mobile's sticking to them.
But there are all these, these people are smart. There are going to be loopholes in this contract. There are going to be other ways that Dish gets harmed. And there are other consequences that people aren't thinking about. So there are the major wireless carriers, which right now are Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And they're major carriers because they have actual physical infrastructure. And you need to have physical infrastructure to be able to compete. Every other carrier in the US is an MVNO, which is a mobile virtual network operator. Boost Mobile, Cricket Wireless, you name it, it's a subset of one of the 4 major carriers. So Dish Mobile is going to operate as an MVNO right off the bat of Sprint and T-Mobile, the new T-Mobile. This isn't going to be good for other MVNOs, for other carriers, and here's why. Right now, AT&T and Verizon have very strong customer bases, so they're not incentivized to sell off their service to the smaller carriers at good prices.
Right.
But Sprint and T-Mobile are both smaller, so they are incentivized to sell off their services to like Boost Mobile or Cricket for lower prices, which keeps those prices down on the MVNO front for the smaller carriers. If you eliminate that competition between Sprint and T-Mobile for the wholesale prices of MVNOs, of their service, then all the MVNO prices are going to go up. And so our lower cost carriers are going to start to disappear because there isn't competition. Verizon and AT&T do not need to wholesale off their services because they have enough customers.
Right.
Sprint and T-Mobile are the only competition. So if you look at it, okay, there are a big 4, but really there's only 2 right now that are competing to keep the low cost carriers low cost. This is one of the points they made in the Net Institute paper. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description section below if you want to take a look at that paper. And really pokes a bunch of holes in this plan that just kind of seems short-sighted.
Yeah.
I just don't see how Dish Mobile is going to be able to build a nationwide infrastructure with an initial budget of $10 billion in such a short time frame.
No. And I don't even think they're going... I don't think that they're going to. I don't even think they're going to try. Why would they try?
Just sell it off after the contract
Take the
expires.
penalty. Yeah, take the penalty. And
write it off in your taxes and sell it to Jeff Bezos for a bajillion dollars.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So I love the final paragraph of this document that the economists wrote. This proposed settlement would permit a 4-to-3 merger based on a remedy that accepts competitive harms, meaning it doesn't make sense that T-Mobile would have to help its number one competitor. That doesn't make any sense. Competitive harms in the short and medium term, even based on an exceedingly optimistic view of possible benefits in the longer term. This does not represent good policy. Rather, it suggests a determined effort to invent a basis for approval of a merger that is anti-competitive on its face. Indeed, if the substantial and acknowledged competitive problems with this 4-to-3 merger are remedied by this strategy of rearranging some assets, negotiating some contracts, and then hoping for the best some years down the road, it is unclear what merger would not be salvageable with the same scheme. So this is more than just wireless. This is setting a precedent legally where we're able to justify eliminating competition and saying, okay, this doesn't violate antitrust laws based on hope, based on a wish.
Yeah.
So maybe it should be called Wish Network and not Dish Network.
There you go.
Because it doesn't exist.
Right.
And they're just looking over I mean, what's going to happen to all these other MVNOs? If I was Cricket and I was, I'd be like, what the hell's going on? How come they get to be one of the major 4 carriers when they literally have nothing more than I do as Boost Mobile?
I mean, Boost Mobile has more because they have customer base.
They have customers. Yeah, they have absolutely nothing more. I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's crazy. We don't think it's going to work. There is still one big legal hurdle for this merger to overcome in California. If the merger gets struck down there, they're going to appeal to the federal court. And the way the federal court is comprised right now, they will probably approve the merger. So
yeah, there's money changing hands here. I mean, I don't understand why they're approving this. It's based on hope.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's like it's supposed to be competitive, but it doesn't exist.
Well, it's increasing competition by decreasing the number of competitors. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's clearly not. I mean, if there was another competitor that could,
If only there was a 4th carrier right now with, 60 million subscribers and its own infrastructure network.
Yeah.
Like Sprint.
And T-Mobile. Why don't we just I don't know, invest in them to keep the competition? Especially, and people are just overlooking the fact that it's good to have 2 lower quality carriers that compete with each other. That's a good thing. It's okay because they sell their products to different subsets of organizations. It's not just about the customers. It's about the wholesale stuff. It's about the Boosts and the Cricket. And so, yes, Sprint might have fewer people, but if you start to add up the effect that they have on the market as a whole, it's not good.
Yep. Anything else you want to add here?
No, I think I'm done.
Yeah, we don't think Dish Mobile is going to work. It's almost certainly going to fail and get bought out. That's kind of my prediction.
It's going to fail.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good. We'll see where our cell phone service bills are right now.
Yeah.
And then in 7 years.
Yeah, T-Mobile said they're not going to increase cell phone bills for 3 years. After that, all bets are off. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's yeah.
I'd like to build out a wireless network in 7 years that's going to cover 70% of the U.S. population.
Do it.
It doesn't make any sense.
You have as good a shot as Dish right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are on the new Dish Mobile TBD. Yep. We'll see how it goes.
Wish Mobile.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more great videos about cell phones.